Hey guys, welcome back to Cigar Time. My name's Tyme, and I have a guest here. Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Matt. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
What? That's all you're gonna say? Okay. Fellow cigar obsessed dude, and also has a does reviews as well. And
My name is M.R. Davis, and I have the low budget back porch cigar reviews.
I'll put a link in the description. Okay, so we have the we're gonna be smoking CAO. What did I say? CAO Extreme QUAD, which is 4 times Ligero blend. Apparently, I've been saying that wrong like this entire time.
Hey, it's a learning process, man. I don't know everything.
I've been smoking cigars for 5 years, and I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time.
So this collaboration has
Yes.
already proven profitable.
Yes.
Outstanding.
So wrapper, it's cool because it has a huge foot band on it, which is a cigar band pretty much because it takes up most of it. But it's got the wrapper is Ecuadorian Habano Ligero, and then filler is Nicaraguan Ligero and Honduras Ligero. So it's very Ligero-y. So
I expect it to be pretty potent.
Yeah.
The Ligero is the top of the plant, and it tends to be the make for the harshest, if you want to call it that, the strongest flavor, as some would say. Who's first? You first?
Okay. I'm just gonna cut it.
All right.
And then it's going to take me forever to toast this thing because I'm actually going to use the cedar stick.
You're gonna toast it with a cedar stick too? I've never seen that done.
I've done it before. Almost came apart there.
Yeah, it's kind of. These are garbage. I got this at Wish.com, so it's a cheap V cut you get for like 99 cents. It did come apart. Check it out. Right on. Oh. Son of a gun.
I don't really know what to. Hey, there's the blade part. Just totally garbage, as you can see.
Ooh, the magic cutter. Calibri. I like it.
Okay. Do not actually break that one, please, because I would love to explain to them about it. Calibri is awesome brand. No, not getting paid for this, but if the blades get dull or you break it in any way possible, they'll replace it for free. It's a lifetime warranty, lifetime guarantee. Usually does a pretty decent cut.
It's a great cut. I just purposely went real ginger
shallow
with it, real shallow. I'm real careful with any kind of a guillotine type cutter like that, because it's real easy to get too much of the cap off and then it falls apart. Because the cap is what really holds the whole thing together.
So my ashtray, which normally you can't see, but I pulled out my CAO flathead for the CAO cigars. Yes.
Not sponsored.
That'll probably end up being I know it's weird, but it's like a sweetened chocolate, like a candied. That's the word. It's like a candied. Tastes like a gummy bear. That's what it is. Tastes like a gummy bear on the cold draw. Okay, I'm just gonna. You know, it's gonna take forever to toast this thing. A gummy bear with the cold draw. Not. I mean, it better not taste like a gummy bear.
I've already toasted. I can't do a pure cold draw anymore. My toasting job is fairly poor this time around, so I don't think it's that much toast to worry about.
Good toast.
You practically light the thing when you toast it.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
takes forever.
is that a single burner, single pot?
Yep.
Okay.
I got this from
Cool.
Oscar. I actually still don't know his last name. No
Good
idea.
guy. I don't care what his name is. I'm just saying. I think it's common.
I almost put the lip side in my mouth.
All right, you're lighting. I'm lighting.
Wow. You love the dual torch stuff.
Remember he told me that you can't watch my lights anymore on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Because like I just
Yeah, you
right?
got it, and you're like, shh. Oh yeah, okay, awesome, Cherry, here we go. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's burning weird because my fault. But
What's wrong with that? I'm just admitting, giving
yeah,
credit
it's
where it's
okay.
due.
So you do it off camera?
A little bit. I mean,
Probably gonna cut this out anyway.
I generally use whatever you want. It's your video. But yeah, I generally will I try to make an attempt at one solid light, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you see the cut, the edit between it's time to light the cigar and me lighting when I say that and then I actually light it,
Yeah.
there's usually 10 to 30 seconds, depending, of material you don't see. Where so it just cuts right to me like doing this.
Okay. Usually, I thought a couple of times. So okay, let's light the cigar. You put it in your mouth, and it wasn't black. It was still brown tobacco that you could see the folds of.
There have been a few like that. There have been one or two where I just got a really good light the first time. But and some of that is some skill. When you're lighting the cigar, to me, I like lighting fresh tobacco. I think it lights really well when you apply the heat fully to it.
Yeah.
So toasting actually kind of makes it harder to fully light the cigar because you actually have to light to a higher temperature the tobacco behind the stuff you toasted, right? So you have to get through that, and then it takes longer, and you tend to over toast what you've already toasted at that point, and then that's part of the reason why the initial light tastes different than even just this far in. Now it's gonna taste better, it mellows out, whatever. So I've learned that it's better to just do a very light toast, mostly just for flavor. It adds a nice flavor to it, and then to really just take the heat to it right after that. So I do a very light toast, maybe 10, 15 seconds. I try to get real even with it. I really watch it,
Yeah.
kind of micromanage it, and then I just don't. I still see a lot of raw tobacco. Still, there's a little bit, just the tips of what you can see are blackened from that toasting.
Yeah.
And then after that, just go right in for it, and I move the flame. And that's one thing I like about this dual torch, and even my triple torch that I used to use, is that it's real directional. So you can really just aim it perfectly. Yeah, it's pointed. Hang on. There's 1,000 ways to smoke a cigar.
Oh yeah.
And they're all right. It's just a matter of whether or not you like it or not. There's no wrong answers, no judgment on it either way. But different strokes. But what about flavor notes? What are you getting so far?
Not really getting a pepper hit, but it's more not a pepper zing, but I do feel a little bit of the pepper spice on my tongue. There's a bit of something else, and I missed it. There's an odd chocolate note, but it's not sweet. It's not even a cocoa. It's like a dry, unsweetened dark chocolate. It's very subtle.
I would describe that as cocoa. But I mean, that's me. I think what I'm getting so far, and I might be a little more sensitive to this particular flavor in my palate. I think it kind of goes with my history with cigars, but I am getting a fair amount of pepper. Now, it's not a pepper bomb, at least not yet, and I'm also not smoking it like a diesel train or anything. It's going fairly, pacing myself here, but I'm getting like a white pepper, almost like an ashy pepper, not ash and like cigarette ash, but like just kind of an ashy flavor to it, a little more earthy, so like an earthy pepper to it.
I did a little bit of a retrohale and found the pepper.
Right. Which tells me I get the same thing, and that usually tells me is that it's kind of a predictive measure that somewhere in the second or third, it'll probably get fairly peppery.
Yeah.
That's great for guys who like strong cigars. Now, so far, I think the strength is definitely medium plus. I would say it's probably a full body cigar if you smoke it a little quicker.
How's the draw on yours? Mine is. I had to recut it just because I had to go with the flush because there just wasn't hardly any draw with the other. And these cigars were next to each other at 67% humidity for the past two and a half months. So they're not. So it's not like I had them in different places. They're in the same humidor next to each other, and so.
Well, much can be said for the inconsistency of the human touch when you're making cigars, right?
Yeah.
So that will happen. You know, my draw, it's a little tighter than, just a little bit tight, but it's not bad. I actually quite enjoy it. I like a cigar with a little bit of resistance, just a little. Makes you feel like you're doing something, you know, and not just breathing through a straw that smells like smoke.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that it also may be just the differences between our personal preferences. I like a slightly looser cigar.
Yeah.
And if they may actually be the same, I suspect that they're the same because the ones that I've had in the past from the same 5-pack or 10-pack have been all the same draw. So it's perfect for you. It's a little tight for me. That's another personal preference thing. All this is not.
Sure.
This isn't an exact science.
Thank God it's not an exact science.
We'd be in so much trouble.
No doubt.
But also, I enjoy sometimes the tighter draw just because it forces me to smoke it slower.
Yeah.
And then it forces me to take slower, longer draws instead of just a real quick draw. And typically that keeps the cherry fairly
cool.
Fairly cool.
Carpenter bees.
Yeah.
I would say that. I mean, it's definitely not a loose draw. It's snug, which to me is it's about average in a sense, but maybe a little tighter than average. It's interesting. But yeah, preferences makes a big deal, makes a big difference, and everyone's gonna be different.
Yeah. Some people may not like this cigar at all. This is not a. I've smoked 2 cigars in my life, and I'm going golfing with some buddies. This is not a cigar to pick up.
Probably not. That would probably be a negative experience, especially when novices often tend to inhale or try to. And you inhale one of these. I mean, I accidentally got just a little bit inhaled, just a little bit of the second hand, and coughed a little bit. Like if I really got a good gulp of this, oh man, I mean, I'd be puking over the rail, I'm sure. But that's okay because I'm not doing that. You know?
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out to you, and you may not be aware, I'm not sure. This cigar is a fairly good example of, and people don't talk about this a lot. It's the little specks. Well, you see these little. If you look real closely at the ash, there's lots of little specks on there, and there's a misconception that that's the corpses of tobacco beetles, right?
Yeah.
That's not true. You can't see the larvae of tobacco beetles; they're too small. Okay, and to whatever level they might be present, as long as you keep your humidity right, you don't have to worry about them. But what's interesting about this, and some cigars have that kind of, I call it a jeweled ash. It's got lots of little jewels, and it looks like lots of little specks, little silver specks in it. And they're not the silver, like the gray color of the ash. They're like bright silver, little dots. You got a few of them in here, and that actually comes from a high content of a specific mineral in the leaf, and you can actually see them in the wrapper before it's burned. If you look real close, you can see that. It might not be a bad idea to switch porches.
Yeah, it may be about time.
So, when the ash fell off, I was surprised to find that that the cherry was still going pretty good, but it was really died down into the center. So, the only reason we're really touching this up is because we had to take a few minutes to change scenery, change venue here because of the sun. And so they kind of died down, but I'm sure we would have had to touch them up if we would have stayed puffing on the last 10 minutes.
We should be
They've been burning perfectly. They've been really good.
Should be able to get a couple nice conies.
Yep.
Next time.
I love a good coney. Especially on the boardwalk.
There's no ketchup. Ketchup
No.
doesn't belong on a hot dog.
No ketchup. No, never. No, I'm a grown up. You also got a proper relight. You know, it went out and you relit. It's going to change the character a little bit than what it would be if it was continual. Mine has gotten a little stronger. Not much, but it's noticeable. It's hitting a little harder now on the back of the throat. Now it is not a pepper bomb per se, but now it is a little more like a good, strong, peppery stick. And so I like the fact that it changes character. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people do, and I'm one of those that do. I like a cigar that starts out one way and pleasantly shifts a little bit towards a different direction as you smoke it.
It keeps me. I like it because it keeps me interested in the cigar. It's not just plain. It's
right.
Oh hey, there's something new. That's
right.
cool, and keeps me interested.
Definitely. So it's like, where's my coffee? There it is. Got it.
So.
I like that.
Oh.
No, it's just there's a shadow of a spider.
Yeah, there's that
right
bug
there on
that
your
was-
pit, and I'm like, what the heck? Where was? And before the spider, it was the flying insect, whatever it was, the wasp
something.
or bee or something.
So you're making this program for you?
For
Is
me.
it gonna
Just for me?
just for you?
Yeah, but I want to share it with people so that they can understand that. Like, see, I want to incorporate a lot of things. I do want to get into a martial art. There's that time we were here all around.
Sumo wrestling does not count.
No, it doesn't. Smart Alec. But there's this time that we met here for a Bible study, right?
Yes.
And towards the end, I come to find. Oh no, I think we're at Tommy's. Come to find out, everybody in that shack. I mean, there's like 6 or 8 of us squeezed in there.
Smoke check.
The smoke shack. Everybody in there but me had martial arts experience, and they were telling us stories and stuff. Like nobody was making it up. Like it was like.
Yeah.
And I have 0, and I'm like, I felt really weird. Like, is this something people do in the South? What's going? I'm Southern too. Why haven't I had this experience? You know. But anyway, I've had 0 experience with it, and I really dig it, man. Especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I guess that comes from
Brazil.
well, my interest in it comes from Joe Rogan. Watching Joe Rogan's podcast, because obviously he's big into it. He interviews a lot of guys in it. He's into MMA. He knows all the history about it, where it all came from, and just martial arts in general. He's a big, snob on it.
Yeah.
But
Sorry for those of you that are wrestling fans, but wrestling's fake. Didn't know. Sorry for the spoiler. Some grown men did not know that wrestling was fake, and then they found out about it, and it's a very funny YouTube video. You should look that up too. People's reactions when they find out that wrestling is fake. But it's hilarious. Some guy, oh man, and but yeah, MMA. That's my dad used to love watching it. I used to enjoy watching it. Ex-girlfriend of mine, and we used to go Buffalo Wild Wings and with her dad, and just be there super late watching the big fights and stuff.
Watching Conor McGregor.
And I watched the last. I'd say the last Ronda Rousey fight, but the last one wasn't really a fight.
No, it was awful.
Yeah,
she got her butt handed to her.
Yeah, it was very disappointing.
What?
Oh,
Over there.
there's an ashtray for a reason.
So
cigar real quick.
let's talk about the cigar.
The battery died, so I'd change the battery real quick.
As they do. Oh, me? I'm gonna go first. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're down in the last third, and it's really changed character on mine. It's gotten, I would say, a little more woody, actually, a little more earthy, a little more woody. I'm really finding a lot more of that. That I actually call it like burning leaves in a sense. It's almost like that scent. It's a little more just straight up smoke as opposed to like cigar flavors, but it's so natural. It's a little on the dry side for sure, but we're smoking these pretty slow, so it's not hitting real hard in the back of the throat.
Yeah.
But it is hitting the back of the throat. I am going to taste this one later today, I think, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Hopefully, it won't be one of those I taste the next day. That's like my least favorite thing. You ever have that?
Oh yeah, I have them with like the with a lot of the specialty Gurkhas, the Gurkha Titan, the Gurkha Beast, especially the Beast. That thing lasts for like the entire day. But I'm getting, I'm still getting a little bit of the pepper, and the finish isn't that long. But during the draw, I am getting I'm still getting a little bit of oak, but it's transitioned from the smell of like when you saw through an oak tree or something like that. It's gone from that to tastes more like a bark, like the bark of the tree, which I have accidentally eaten on a couple of occasions when being a kid and trying to get the bark off a tree with a plastic knife, and it ends up in my mouth and in my eye.
Right.
And so,
what's it taste like in your eye?
what? I have no idea.
What does it look
Tears
like
and
tears,
sweat.
sweat. Yeah, exactly. Tears, blood, sweat.
Yeah.
Various discharges. I can see that too. Actually, the bark, definitely. But it all goes back to that earthy, woody thing, right? That's that whole section of the wheel of flavors from Cigar and Pfizer.
Wheel of flavors. Yes, wheel of flavors.
Wheel of that's good.
Yes. So, but yeah, it's the strength is definitely full body now.
It definitely got stronger. Yeah.
Which I enjoy. We should definitely do this more often. Not just for like really long videos, but also.
Yeah. You
Letting
should edit
our
probably
viewers,
3/4 of it out.
Yeah, but having two different palates.
I agree.
And what they taste, and the similarities and the differences between two totally different people.
I think it's a really good idea. And I want to do some field trips. I think it'd be cool if we were to
smoke a cigar while going on a roller coaster at Six Flags or something. Hey, that would be something to do, because it's going to be a little more difficult for me because of my knee. But well, I guess you too. But they do have smoking areas at Six Flags, and so we could like go to each little section and smoke a little bit of a cigar, and go to another section and smoke a little bit of a cigar.
I thought they banned it across the park, but maybe you're right. I know you're not supposed to smoke on the rides.
Oh, no.
But look, what are they going to do? If you're at the top of the roller coaster, they can't come running and stop the roller coaster. I think it'd be cool to do like a short one, a small cigar, or like a nub or something that you can just, like a throwaway cigar, where like you
That's pretty expensive.
You smoke it for, well, yeah, but I mean the size.
Yeah.
Right? It's a small size cigar. And then when you get up to the top, when it's going slow, and you're on the back car.
Yeah.
And just go ahead, turn on the camera, light it up as you're going up, and you hear the click, 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 click as you're going up, and it's like, well, hey, welcome to Cigar Time. This is Matt and Tyme. Cigar. I'm at the nub.
Cigar. As am I, and it's already gone out once. Sitting here smoking, puffing.
Really?
And it went out. I'm like, crap. So
it reminds me a little bit of the Gurkha Ghost at the end. Just at the end. The Gurkha Ghost is really hard. All the versions I've ever tried. I've tried 3 of them. Great cigar, but super strong. Lots of pepper. And it's starting to get that way at the end for me. So are you having to touch it up? Is it the wind, or what is it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't need to touch it up just now, but
I'm pontificating here. You had plenty of time to smoke.
This edge, the wrapper started to come out, kind of to flower on this side, not the ash, but the actual thing. So I just wanted to mulch that before it got any worse.
That's a good point. Fortunately, mine hasn't gotten very bad. I haven't had to touch it up. I've had to relight it, only because we're moving or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it's been, I would say, a good solid burn. Not excellent, but good. Very good.
Second, third, for mine, it was the closest to razor sharp that I've pretty much ever had in a cigar. But getting down into the final third, I don't know if it's just heat or with the cherry growing a little bit, because it's hot about halfway up now in the nub.
I was ahead of you when we started in the last third.
Yeah.
I think I had a little more smoke down than you did. Now you're ahead of me because I was pontificating so long and you were smoking.
Yeah.
But I was smoking it cool. I think because of that, because I was talking too much. But I think that smoking slow produces a better burn.
Yeah.
To a point. Obviously, to a point. Obviously, you can smoke it too slow too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good cigar, man. Do you have a rating system? Do you have a point thing or
I have
AB,
a
or?
10 or scale 1 to 10 with points.
I do too.
So like, last one was 7.5, 7.6.
What was it?
It was the Jacob Slider, I do believe.
Mm.
And it used to be like, I mean, it's still up there. It's still in my top 10, but it used to be like my number 2 or number 3 cigar, but now it's a little bit lower. I found palate's a little bit more refined, and didn't enjoy the pepper as much in the final third. But and some, I mean, I've had several Maduros that never get peppery,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is really interesting. And that's another thing, you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can't judge a cigar by the wrapper, because some Connecticut like shade wrappers are very strong cigars. But,
Yes.
And then other Maduros are a very mild smoke, which is very interesting. But this is definitely not a mild smoke.
This is definitely not a mild smoke, and is this a Maduro wrapper as well?
It's a Hero, I think it's a broadleaf. I had to check the beginning of the video to see.
So, Ligero is the top of the plant, the tobacco plant, right? So it's a big stalk, and leaves at all different levels. The ones closest to the sun get the most sun. It changes their chemistry so that when you process them and ultimately create a cigar out of them, particularly the wrapper out of Ligero, it creates a stronger cigar in general. Now this thing is Ligero all the way through,
Yeah.
so you can expect it to be a strong cigar with some pepper in it.
I thought it was going to be a kick all the way through, but it wasn't actually. It wasn't unpleasant.
The middle third was my favorite. I really enjoyed that. It is a strong cigar. I enjoy a strong cigar. I really do, if the flavor notes are right. This one, I would say, is probably at the limit of my tolerance. No, it's not the limit. It's close to the limit. Probably 80% of my tolerance towards pepper. So it's not a pepper I dislike. It's a good pepper. It's more of a whitish pepper as opposed to a black pepper, which is the one that hits you real hard.
Yeah. It's not quite as strong, but it's still there.
Speaking of flavor notes, I wanted to ask you something else. I use this description a lot. I think I overuse it. But there are some cigars that are, particularly in Connecticut cigars, and particularly like more mass market, like Perdomos and stuff like that, that the flavor note I get most strongly is what I call wet paper bag. Imagine, like, you know the smell of a paper bag if it gets wet?
Yeah.
Bringing in groceries in the old days with a wet paper bag and it gets rained on or something, and it just has a certain aroma to it. And that's not that bad, but when you roll it up and stick it in your mouth, it's actually kind of a drying effect, and it's tacky, and it's not terribly pleasant if you ever had something like that in your mouth. A lot of them come off like that. But what I've figured out is, and you tell me if I'm crazy, I think that's
crazy.
Actually, I probably am crazy. That's more of on the lines of leather. So there's a spectrum, I think, in that leather flavor that you sometimes get in a cigar. There's leather, like good leather, aged leather.
I mean, there's aged leather, there's cured leather, there's raw leather, there's there's a lot of, definitely more than just leather.
Yeah. But I think that when something has got that leather flavor to it, what people call leather, it can get to a point where on one end of the spectrum, it's more like paper, parchment.
Yeah.
It's a good way to describe it. And then on the other side of it, it's like richness, rich leather.
So it's like burnt leather. So, I mean, it's not the same thing, but I compare it, definitely flavor-wise, it's not the same at all, because that'd be really gross, but I compare it to tires. Like new tires in a tire shop, I enjoy the smell of tires.
Sure.
I like that the rubber, the galvanized rubber smell, and to an extent, I enjoy like burning rubber, like at racetrack or something like that. But when a tire is lit on fire and it smells horrid,
right?
and so there's those depending on the heat that is applied, it
Right.
definitely changes the smell of it. I just had to put mine down because it wasn't too terribly hot, but in the last 3 draws, it got real bitter, and I don't soak the end of soak the head of my cigar in saliva and stuff. I did when I first started because I didn't know any better, but
A lot of people do.
yeah,
I don't either. If you look at mine, I don't know if you can see that, but it's
not glistening at all.
fairly dry. You know, I mean, I'm not a chomper. A lot of people like chew on them practically to the limit.
And some people like that.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's their flavor. If they like it, good for them. I think it's kind of gross, but I think you also miss out on the intended flavors of the cigar when you soak it with saliva. It doesn't burn the same. The saliva probably has some positive effect, though. It probably catches some of the ammonia buildup and prevents some of that from getting into the smoke. But I can see what you're saying. I mean, smoking it really nice and slow and cool, you get a lot less bitterness in any cigar. And I think that's really important to understand. This one I'm still at the nub, but I haven't moved much past 10 minutes ago. It's still smoking, it's still lit, but it's more of a smolder, and it's not bitter at all. Definitely more leathery. But I think of the leather spectrum, when it gets bitter, that's kind of that wet paper bag. When it's not bitter, when it's rich, it's more like a tanned leather, a well-worked leather, like a baseball glove.
Yeah.
You ever smell a baseball glove? It
Oh,
smells amazing, right? Or like an old, like a gun belt made out of really heavy gauge, good quality leather, or even a regular belt.
Yeah.
You know, and occasionally, if you get it close to your face, you're going to smell it, and it just smells good. Especially when, like an old leather that's worn in, used, lived a little bit of life. That's an amazing smell, and I pick up a lot of that in this cigar and some others. This cigar is not so much leather; it's definitely more earth. But whatever leather you get out of it, I think is a quality taste.
I was very surprised that I didn't get any, especially whenever it got in the final third and started to heat up a little bit. I was surprised that I didn't pick up any like nuttiness or any nut notes, because typically in most cigars that I've had, Connecticut, Habano, Natural, Maduro, Broadleaf, whatever, typically the wrapper has kind of it lets through like a nutty flavor in the final third.
Sure.
Which sometimes you can taste, and sometimes it's made to taste that way whenever it's cool, but typically in most cigars you'll pick it up in the final third just because you're closer and there's less tobacco for it to filter through, and you pick up nutty notes because it's a little bit hotter. But I didn't get that, which I was very surprised.
Do you think that is still lit?
Probably.
It's been cooling there for a minute. I wonder if it smells different or tastes different, rather.
That's still lit.
I know your last 3 puffs are kind of bitter. What do you think now? Is it still?
I'll drink some water, so I should
Clear the palate.
clear the palate. Palate.
Palate.
Never mind. Yeah.
Clear the palate.
Yes. That's definitely gone down a little bit in the bitterness. It's still there, but it's not as prominent. It's more of a sub note. Still no nuttiness, but it's good.
The way I discovered that difference in the gauge size and the flavor, I mean, I knew it anyway, but pretty early on. But the way I discovered it personally was when I first discovered my favorite, the Magic Toast by Alec Bradley. Smoked it in a robusto, and just could not believe how much I enjoyed it, right? And how different it was from other Maduro cigars I'd smoked. It's similar in some ways, but it's also way creamier, just a better cigar, and smoother for sure. Medium plus strength, but never peppery. And I just really enjoyed that cigar. Well, somebody, I think it was Tommy, gave me a Gordo at his house and just handed it to me as a gift, you know. And I can't always do it, but I try to smoke gift cigars right there with the person who gave it to me.
And the Gordo's is 6x60. we haven't already said. I think
If we haven't,
said
yeah, I
that,
think we said that, yeah. But and I liked it, but I didn't like it anywhere near as much as I like the same cigar in a robusto, which is only, it's a 5x50 or 5.5 by 50, I think, on that particular cigar, and it's good. And I even got one on my own, smoked it at home alone, second Gordo of that same cigar, and I still felt like the draw was a lot more on it too. And I just put a punch in it, a small punch.
Yeah.
And in some ways it was like sucking through a straw. It was just I could breathe underwater with that thing. I mean, it was just it was a lot of air, not a lot of smoke. Whereas with the robusto, it's much more smoke, much less air. The draw wasn't tight on the robusto, but it was good. It was solid, and you got a good mix of what you wanted out of it. And I really want them to make like a little Paquito, like a Corona size, right? Where it's like maybe 4 by 32 or 4 by 38 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. One cigar that really exemplifies some of the things we've been talking about is the Camacho Triple Maduro. Maduro all the way through. Now it's not technically wrapper in the middle.
Yeah.
It's cured differently for the filler and the binder, but it's all Maduro leaves. And that's a cigar that it gives me a high, a nicotine high by the end of it. But boy, is it a good cigar. I mean, if you want a powerful cigar, that Triple Maduro is no joke, but still really smooth.
Yeah.
There's so much nuance in it. That's part of what I love. Why don't we, as we're finishing up here, why don't you tell me how did you get into cigars in the first place?
So, before the law changed from 18 to 21, my dad used to smoke a tobacco pipe back when he was in his teens, and would go down and smoke with the old guys in the local shop, and learn how to smoke a pipe there and everything. And then when
You did.
no, my dad,
Your dad did.
when he was in his teens, and so this was 80s, and
Before it was cool.
yeah, before it was cool. But so I was born. He still smoked for a few years, and then he quit. Well, back 6 years ago, I mentioned to him in the summertime, "Hey, if I got you a pipe, would you smoke it?" And thought about it, and he said, "Yeah, I'd smoke it." And so for Christmas, I got him an exact replica of Bilbo Baggins' pipe. It's a long Churchill. It's like this. It's like that big. It's humongous,
Right.
and it has a massive bowl on the end,
Sure.
and holds a lot of pipe tobacco, and really neat. So I got him that for Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, we went down to the local cigar shop, to Southern Cigar, and he bought some tobacco and smoked it there, and I had a couple of puffs and everything. And then the next year, I bought my first pipe, and down at Southern bought some tobacco and just started smoking occasionally, and then found that I enjoyed it. And then after a couple of months, I tried a cigar, and I enjoyed that a little bit more.
About 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And because I like the smoke output, it was cool and everything, but I like the flavors. But when I would smoke it as I do a cigar, like a puff every 30 to 45 seconds, the whole bowl and the whole pipe would get hot because smoking it too fast. And eventually, if you smoke a pipe too fast, then it cracks the bowl and ruins the char on the inside and everything.
Sure.
Ruins the pipe unless you can get it fixed, which is difficult to find somebody, and it's difficult to do in the first place. But then I transitioned from more cigars compared to pipes, because although they were a little bit more expensive, I enjoyed it more, and I wanted the experience.
Right.
And so then I started just trying different cigars and found a few that I liked, and went with that. And
So how long
then
was that process when you smoked your first cigar to when you found a few that you liked? You know, your initial experimentation phase with it. How long was that?
I mean, it's still ongoing, but
Oh, sure.
it's I'd say probably a month or two, month and a half to 2 months,
Oh, wow.
just because I smoked like one. Went there. We started a Bible study there at Southern, and so I'd smoke there once a week, and then I was like, okay, so I wanted to try some different stuff, so I'd get a different cigar every time, and and then like closer to the 2 month mark, I'd smoke like one on Wednesday and then one on Saturday or something, or half one on Saturday, and then it just I found a few that I liked, and still continued to try to find cigars that I thought were interesting or that I might like, and then the different reps that came in when we were there. I told them what my tastes were and what I enjoyed, and then they'd recommend this cigar that they had or this cigar that they had or whatever. And so I was able to get the experience from the reps of what, based on my palate at the time, what I would enjoy. And so there was the experience there, and then sitting in there in the lounge and talking to the older guys that have smoked for years and years, and they'd comment on their cigars or whatever, and then they'd make recommendations, and then I'd try what they had or try what they recommended or whatever, and sometimes the same day, and then just kind of it's definitely from other people's experience of what I would enjoy that kind of grew that, and then that was that, and then I finally got to where I could. About a month after that, so about 3 months, I realized, okay, I've tried enough to where I know what I like, I know what I don't really enjoy, but I'm still open to trying it at least one more time, because, I mean, try everything once, but with cigars it's a little different, because sometimes you do get a random bad cigar, and or if it's not humidified properly, if it's too dry, then it'll smoke really hot, and if it's too humidified, if it's too wet or whatever, then it'll have typically a really tight draw, and it'll burn really bad, and just won't be as enjoyable. And so I like to try every cigar that I can get my hands on. I like to try at least twice.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad cigar, then if it's just
It'll be bad twice.
terrible cigar, then I won't smoke it again. Right. And that's only happened once. And it was in a sampler pack that I got, so it was very bad. But other than that, if it was a little off or something like that, then I'd try it again in a couple of months or whatever. And then if it's still bad, then I just won't.
Well, that makes sense to me. I'm in a similar phase where I try to smoke every cigar that's new to me twice. So if I didn't care for it as much the first time, and I don't always review them the first time I smoke them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, and then I smoke them again, and I review them both times. And sometimes I don't only review one or the other. Sometimes I don't review them either time. It just depends. But I try to smoke them twice. But what I've really started doing, really just in the last couple of months, through trial and error, happenstance, I'll get the same cigar from two different places.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll have whatever it is, and I will have bought it at Southern, or I might have bought it out in Carrollton at Boss Cigars, or I might have bought it up in Atlanta somewhere, right? And I've already smoked it where I got it from somewhere else. Well, lo and behold, same cigar, two different places, tastes different. That happens with almost every cigar I've had. And some cigars, like my favorite ones that I smoke one or two or three a month of that same cigar. Oftentimes there'll be 3 or 4 of them, and I got them at 2 or 3 different shops, or maybe all 4 from different shops, and notice that they're all different. And so I started doing it where if I get a new cigar or it's new to me, and I try it and I think whatever I think of it, I almost make it a point now that if I'm going to do it again, I get it from somewhere else, because, like you said, humidors are different, humidities are different. The quality of the maintenance of that humidor can be different. Sometimes the equipment they used to maintain the humidor breaks down. That happened at a shop I won't name. I believe it happened at this particular shop because for the longest time, the humidor you walk in, it's 5 degrees cooler than the rest of the place. You can feel the humidity. It's different. This one, and I walked in there one day, and it was just about a month ago, and the humidor was hot. I mean, like, there was 0 air going on in that place. And it had to be 75 degrees or more. And there's humidity, but there's also temperature. Both matter. And it was warm in there, man. I didn't like it. And I got cigars from there, and it was the first time I'd ever gotten a cigar from that shop that out of the 4 or 5 cigars I bought that day, I had like 2 that were subpar in their smoking experience. And they were both cigars I'd smoked before. And so it's not, and I've got them from that shop before. So it's like, I know that there is a difference in that. And so you have to be cognizant of that. It's like anything else. The whole habit, or hobby rather, the whole hobby of cigar smoking is so nuanced.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of the fun of exploring any hobby.
Yeah.
Is
I'm not addicted. I can stop anytime I want. But I mean, it's definitely interesting. Typically, whenever I get them from a shop, from any shop, or online or whatever, I typically put them in a humidor for 2 to 3 weeks, just so that it's accustomed to what I have mine set at, and I have different humidors that are set at different humidity levels because I have a few Cubans, and those require a higher humidity level because of the conditions and everything they were rolled in.
Sure.
That's what they were meant to be smoked at.
Sure.
And so those, and then I have some that are lower because of the way that they're made, or I know the cigar. I know it smokes better when it's a little bit drier. Or take that back. Opinion. It's more enjoyable to me when it's a little bit drier.
Sure.
For particular sticks and all, but
man, I'll tell you, I've got quite the nicotine high.
It hit me a couple of minutes ago where
Yeah?
I started to. It didn't hit my head, but I can feel, and it's not the temperature because we have a nice little breeze over here.
Oh, it feels great out here.
And so,
Yeah.
but my legs and my arms started to sweat a little bit, and my hands are not
Yeah?
clammy, but they're a little wet. But it's not like I feel sick, I'm going to go inside and lay down. It's definitely, sometimes it does take a little bit, and it's definitely full strength. Full strength.
It's definitely full strength. I wouldn't say I've ever had a cigar make me feel like I wanted to go lay down, but I've had some that.
Happens to me if I don't eat anything beforehand, and it ends up being a strong cigar.
Well, that's me right now. I haven't eaten yet today, and I have. I've not been diagnosed, but I believe I have hypoglycemia, so low blood sugar if I don't eat happens.
Yeah.
And that gives me a bit of a washy head anyway. But then if I smoke a cigar, in some ways it makes up for it, you know, and helps me to feel better. In other ways, it's still a nicotine high on top of low blood sugar, and it's an interesting experience because it's not anything I'm addicted to, but it's just interesting to remark on because when you look out and you feel like your vision gets better, and you feel like you're thinking more clearly, and things like that.
You can breathe.
You can breathe, and it's like when you feel sharper after having a cigar and not eating as much. It is something that, from a social perspective and from a just a life experience perspective, it's an experience you want to have from time to time.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. There is a point though. Probably about 15, 20 minutes ago where I was really feeling it in my head. And I was glad I'm sitting down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's all part and parcel. That's a pretty rare part of it. You don't really. Most cigars don't hit me like that. But a good strong cigar and an empty stomach,
Definitely.
definitely.
So, what would you, on a scale 1 to 10, what would you rate it? From all the cigars that you smoke, from what your preferred palate is and everything.
What is this thing? CAO what?
CAO Extreme QUAD.
Is that what it's called? CAO Extreme QUAD. Well,
QUAD Extreme, something like
yeah.
that.
I'll tell you. For construction and quality of this experience that I had with it, it's very, very high. From a flavor standpoint, it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to find. And if I can't say I'm going to go out of my way to find it, I can't rate it above a 9.
Yeah.
If it's something that I would love to have in my humidor or smoke once a month or just have on a regular rotation,
Yeah.
it can be in the 8s. If it's something I'm willing to pay for, 10, 12 bucks a stick, it's definitely in the 8s. This one, not as smooth as my favorites would be. A little bit peppery, but not in a bad way. So I would say it's in the low 8s for me. And since it's a quad, I'm gonna give it an 8.4.
8.4.
8.4.
Okay.
Very, very good cigar.
I'm extremely particular with my cigars. You have a bug.
Where? I want to see it.
I'm extremely particular and very not strict but opinionated, I guess, about my cigars, and so like a 9.5, nine and a half for me would be something that no matter what time of day, no matter what, if I've eaten, if I've not eaten, whatever, any time of day that I can pick up this, I can pick up the stick and
Eminently smokable.
yes, every day, whatever, and I have yet to find that. But
so nothing gets a 9.5.
Yeah, nothing gets a 10. But I mean, it's probably. I mean, I did enjoy the Jacob's Ladder more, and that was a 7.5, 7.6. So so with the price point, I mean, I got a good deal on them. So price point isn't really a factor for me. I know I got a good deal, but I don't remember exactly what I got a 10-pack, and so months ago.
Right.
And so these have been sitting in my humidor for almost 2 months.
Right.
But I'd say that it was probably like a 6.8 probably for me. It's not a mediocre, like a mediocre kind of okay cigar is like a 4 for me instead of like a 5, because just the way that my opinions are, and so give it like a 6.8, and it's decent. It's definitely need a meal beforehand, and it would the flavors. It was medium full bodied, but it was like that from the beginning, and there wasn't any real big transitions that I noticed. So I like it whenever it changes, and it didn't change too much, and so that which is good for some cigars. But with what I was going in expecting from what it's made of with La Hero and all that stuff, I was expecting it to have a couple of transitions from third to third, and second third was definitely better than the first and the last, but it wasn't there wasn't really a major flavor change. It was just that it was just a little bit different. There was less pepper, and it didn't smoke as hot as the final third, and it put out more smoke output, and was left a little bit longer of a finish than the first third, and so it was. That might have also been because I didn't have to relight it during the second third.
Right.
But It's yeah. So I mean, I have a couple more. I'm gonna smoke them, but it's definitely something that I'd enjoy.
I found the second,
And-
third mellowed. That's what I would say. It was still itself. You're right. It didn't change
Yeah.
a whole lot, but it mellowed a little bit. It smoothed out a little bit. The smoke output became more consistent. Became a little more enjoyable. The finish, I think, was cleaner and had a much better flavor to it. Whereas in the last third, with the ammonia buildup, it kind of amped up a little bit. The strength got more noticeable. The pepper got more noticeable.
which is typical of
It is typical.
most Maduros, but
It is typical.
yeah,
But that's a bad thing in a cigar that's already rough. In a cigar that's started out, more earthy, leathery, whatever, and then mellowed out in the middle, bug is going crazy. And a cigar that starts out, really smooth like that, more or less, and especially in the second, third, it's okay that it gets a little stronger because it's stronger smoothness, it's stronger good flavors, it's stronger good smoke, and so that typical change is actually a benefit on that in most cases, and it didn't get too much stronger. I mean,
No.
it never got to where it was like, oh man, it's a spitter. It actually kind of is a spitter, but we had beverages to clear the palate and whatnot, so it was overall very. I
and
think,
you were
enjoyable.
drinking coffee. I was drinking water, and so those two also you were able to pick up different stuff from
Big difference.
doing your
point.
frou coffee, and
Good
just
point,
adds a
though.
little bit of cream. But I like mine black, so anything if you add like one sugar, then it's not Starbucks, but it's But,
True enough. True enough.
But anyway, so
Well, this was fun.
yeah,
We
Definitely
definitely got to do it some more. And different venues, I think, would be good too. But I like it here. This is great. I'll do one maybe early morning or late evening. I think the whole tone changes. The lighting's different and all that. But also just smoking is different too.
you're more relaxed at the end of the day, all that stuff.
Oh
so.
man, you need it more, I think, at the end of the day. But occasionally, it's pretty rare because I don't like to get up that early. But sometimes I've had one like 6:30 in the morning. And when you first get up, you haven't eaten, you haven't showered, you may have gone to the bathroom. That's about it. You wake up, you get some clothes on, you go out, you light up a cigar, and
That's why I typically have like a Java. Goes good with coffee.
goes good with coffee. Sure, absolutely. But there's just something about it, and it wakes you up in a way that coffee alone doesn't. And there's been several times I've gone to work right after having a cigar and a cup of coffee, and it's just like, maybe it's the nicotine or whatever, but the
You're refreshed and you're ready to go. Start
Oh.
your day.
man, so much clearer, productive. You just feel sharper. You feel better about the day. Should we need that? Maybe not. You know what I mean? If you're into an all natural lifestyle, you don't smoke, you don't drink, and you're probably vegan.
Well, I mean, cigars are all natural.
They are all natural. They're made from all natural products. Certainly. I think your typical naturopath is going to tell you not to smoke, but yeah, you're probably right. I mean, you're definitely right about the cigar being natural. Well, thank you for the invite.
You are welcome.
It's good to come over and have a smoke with you and
Oh yeah.
enjoy your
Funny.
back porch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know you like when I say that. Have a
Oh,
smoke
yeah.
with me.
Absolutely.